top-down betting. It's a term that you see all over the sports betting world. For example, a company just launched a product called BetStamp Pro, and in the title of the webpage, the description is the ultimate top-down betting tool. But where did this term originate? The term top-down betting originated on this podcast, the Football Analytics Show. On July 24th, 2019, I had professional bettor Spanky on this podcast. Here is what he said.
I take a top-down approach. Let me just describe both of them and the way I see things. A bottom-up approach is if you're going to just get a bunch of data, try to clean up the data, get good data, and then you're going to try to project the future outcome of games based on this data. And you crank out a number, and then you look at that number, you compare it to the bookmaker's number. If the number is significant, if there's a significant difference, and then you bet accordingly. And that's great. I have guys, handicappers that get me numbers, and then I use these numbers in my business. But that's not my meat and potatoes. My meat and potatoes, instead, is I take a top-down approach. I assume that the numbers are accurate. Any number is going to be reflective of what the line is, and then I'm looking for information that's not reflected in the line. So stuff like injuries, or things like, coaches like to sit out certain players, or maybe how a coach might want to play a game, whether it's fast-paced, slow-paced, etc. Also, looking at line moves of big, giant players. If I have a bookmaker in Asia and he has an NBA game and he winds up going from 6 to 7.5 on one game, and the market's still painted 6. Mm-hmm. Okay, somebody that he respects, that's probably a long-term winning player, laid him that 6. So I use that information. I'll lay myself some 6. Stuff like that. So I'm always looking at different numbers, and I wrote a lot of my software to be able to alert me to all of these different moves, to a lot of these different discrepancies. A lot of the software that I use today was written back in 99, 2000. So a lot of it's 20 years old, and of course it's updated. It's on a version 37.6, but it's still, the core of it is still just analyzing discrepancies and acting accordingly.
There are a few things to note about that clip from 2019. First, my approach at the Power Rank is the bottom-up method. I develop models that let you bet on football games. At the end of this short episode, I'll tell you what that means for the future of this podcast. Second, when most people think of top-down betting, they think about the last item that Spanky talked about, following sharp action. This is why there are tools out there like Spank Odds and BetStamp Pro. These are odds screens that let you follow this sharp action through the line movement of sharp sportsbooks. At the time, I thought this term top-down betting was common knowledge. I was wrong. In fact, I didn't know that term got introduced on this podcast until this year. I was in Boston for the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference, and it was here that Spanky told me that he first introduced the term on the podcast. Our mutual friend Mike Craig, a pro sports bettor, confirmed this. He said that when I had him on this podcast later that year, I gave him a list of questions, and one of those questions asked about his opinion on top-down versus bottom-up sports betting, and he had to go and look up the term. That episode with Spanky was the most downloaded episode of this podcast ever. I'm really proud of that. However, a lot has changed in the past 6 years. I've continued to do interviews, but a lot of other people also do excellent interviews in the sports betting world. My download numbers have declined since that peak in 2019. For this upcoming season, I'm pivoting to more solo episodes that dig into the heart of the name of this podcast, the Football Analytics Show. I will be using the metrics that make the Power Rank a thriving business. Of course, the application will always be football betting. I feel like this is the avenue that I can make the biggest impact in the football and sports betting world. These solo episodes will start with a preview series in August. There will be daily episodes of about 10 minutes to get you ready for the upcoming season. I first did this in 2019. I haven't really done it over the past 2 years, and I really look forward to getting back to those types of shows. Then, as we enter into the season, I will continue to do these solo episodes, breaking down football according to my best metrics. There will be a solo episode every week on this podcast. I will still do interviews. I'm on vacation next week, but I do have interviews planned for late July and early August. I will also have interviews during the season, but they will not happen every week. Thank you for your support of this podcast. My name is Ed Feng, your host. I really look forward to helping you have your best football season ever in 2025.